Hi guys, per day coming new history, so please subscribe, like, comment.
The culmination of centuries of sleep research revealed one overarching truth. The subconscious mind was a powerful problem-solving engine that operated best when guided by healthy habits, intentional preparation, and uninterrupted rest. By the early 21st century, scientists had a comprehensive understanding of how sleep integrated memory consolidation, emotional processing, creativity, and insight into a single, highly effective system. One of the final insights was the concept of deliberate preparation before sleep. Researchers found that focusing on a problem, reviewing notes, or mentally rehearsing tasks shortly before bedtime increased the likelihood that the subconscious mind would continue working on them overnight. The brain essentially carried the final pieces of waking thought into sleep, providing raw material for hidden problem-solving processes. Another key discovery involved sleep hygiene, the routines and environmental factors that supported effective sleep. Dark, quiet rooms, regular sleep schedules, moderate evening activity, and limited exposure to screens all helped the brain maintain proper cycles. Proper sleep hygiene ensured that the subconscious mind had sufficient uninterrupted time to strengthen memories, explore solutions, and organize experiences. Scientists also emphasized the importance of understanding sleep stages. Deep sleep allowed the brain to solidify factual knowledge and physical skills, while REM sleep facilitated creative thinking and emotional processing. By recognizing the complementary roles of these stages, researchers could explain why problems often became clearer after a full night of sleep. The subconscious mind leveraged both stages in tandem, alternating between logical organization and imaginative exploration. Research on lucid dreaming introduced another exciting possibility. In some cases, conscious awareness could interact with subconscious processing. Trained individuals could intentionally practice tasks, explore creative ideas, or examine challenges within their dreams. While this ability required practice, it demonstrated that humans could, to some degree, participate in the problem-solving process while asleep. Another major revelation involved the long-term benefits of consistent sleep. People who maintained regular, high-quality sleep over years preserved stronger memory networks, sharper cognitive flexibility, and better emotional regulation. The subconscious mind's nightly work accumulated over decades, creating a resilient system for lifelong problem-solving. Researchers also explored the practical applications of these discoveries. Students, professionals, and creatives could maximize learning and creativity by strategically spacing study or practice sessions around sleep. Solving complex problems became more effective when rest was part of the process, not an afterthought. Even brief naps proved useful, giving the subconscious mind opportunities to process information, rehearse skills, and reinforce memory. Stress management emerged as another essential factor. High stress levels disrupted sleep cycles, reducing the effectiveness of subconscious problem-solving. Relaxation techniques, meditation, and calming routines before bedtime allowed the brain to enter restorative states more efficiently, ensuring that both memory consolidation and creative exploration were optimized. Modern technology also offered tools to monitor and support subconscious problem solving during sleep. Wearable devices and brain activity trackers provided feedback on sleep quality, helping people adjust routines to improve cognitive performance. Some experimental studies even explored ways to subtly cue memory and learning during sleep, reinforcing desired knowledge without waking the sleeper. By the end of this era of research, the science was clear. The subconscious mind worked continuously even when consciousness rested. Every night of sleep was an opportunity to consolidate knowledge, resolve emotional tension, rehearse skills, explore creative possibilities, and solve problems that had seemed unsolvable during waking hours. This understanding explained an everyday experience familiar to people across cultures and centuries. When a solution seems impossible one day, it often emerges after a good night of sleep. The brain had not been idle. The subconscious mind had quietly reorganized, refined, and tested possibilities while the body rested. In the final analysis, humans were equipped with an incredible hidden tool. Sleep was not just a passive state of rest, it was an active, dynamic process in which the subconscious mind solved problems, nurtured creativity, strengthened memory, and prepared the mind for the challenges of a new day. By respecting sleep, cultivating healthy routines, and understanding the science behind it, anyone could harness the full power of this silent, nocturnal problem-solving system. The history of this discovery, from ancient intuition to modern neuroscience, revealed a profound truth. The mind's greatest work often happens when we are not aware of it, quietly solving problems while we dream. By the second decade of the 21st century, sleep research had reached an unprecedented level of detail. Scientists were no longer satisfied with simply observing brain activity during sleep or measuring memory recall. They began to investigate how the subconscious mind integrated short-term problem solving with long-term cognitive health, effectively creating a complete system for human thinking. One of the key findings involved the synchronization of brain regions during sleep. Researchers discovered that memory centers, emotional hubs, and reasoning networks communicated in highly coordinated patterns. These patterns were not random. They appeared to follow precise sequences that reinforced important information while discarding irrelevant details. This coordination allowed the subconscious mind to reorganize knowledge efficiently. Scientists also noticed that this process was active both during deep sleep and REM sleep, but in different ways. Deep sleep focused on stabilizing facts, skills, and daily experiences, transferring them into long-term memory. REM sleep, by contrast, encouraged flexible thinking, emotional balancing, and creative insight. Together, these stages created a system that allowed both analytical and imaginative processing to happen overnight. Another major discovery involved problem-solving aha moments. Experiments showed that when participants struggled with a challenge during the day and then slept, the subconscious mind often restructured the information in ways the conscious mind had not considered. Upon waking, individuals frequently experienced sudden clarity. Brain imaging revealed that this insight often occurred immediately after REM sleep cycles, suggesting that the subconscious mind had been actively exploring alternative solutions during dreaming. Researchers also explored how sleep affected decision-making under uncertainty. Volunteers who faced complex choices performed more accurately after a full night of sleep. Their brains showed stronger connectivity between areas responsible for evaluating options and those storing prior experiences. The subconscious mind essentially reviewed possible outcomes during sleep, providing a more complete perspective upon waking. Scientists also noticed that this process was active both during deep sleep and REM sleep, but in different ways. Deep sleep focused on stabilizing facts, skills, and daily experiences, transferring them into long-term memory. REM sleep, by contrast, encouraged flexible thinking, emotional balancing, and creative insight. Together, these stages created a system that allowed both analytical and imaginative processing to happen overnight. Another major discovery involved problem-solving aha moments. Experiments showed that when participants struggled with a challenge during the day and then slept, the subconscious mind often restructured the information in ways the conscious mind had not considered. Upon waking, individuals frequently experienced sudden clarity. Brain imaging revealed that this insight often occurred immediately after REM sleep cycles, suggesting that the subconscious mind had been actively exploring alternative solutions during dreaming. Researchers also explored how sleep affected decision-making under uncertainty. Volunteers who faced complex choices performed more accurately after a full night of sleep. Their brains showed stronger connectivity between areas responsible for evaluating options and those storing prior experiences. The subconscious mind essentially reviewed possible outcomes during sleep, providing a more complete perspective upon waking. Scientists also studied how creativity was affected by sleep. Artists, engineers, and scientists who allowed themselves regular sleep were more likely to combine ideas in novel ways. The subconscious mind examined fragments of memory, tested hypothetical connections, and even generated symbolic representations in dreams. These processes often led to innovations that conscious effort alone could not achieve. Another important discovery involved emotional intelligence. Sleep not only strengthened memory and creativity, but also helped individuals process emotions connected to problems. The subconscious mind reviewed emotional contexts and reduced mental interference, allowing clearer thinking and better judgment the next day. This explained why difficult interpersonal or work-related problems often felt more manageable after rest. Researchers also examined the role of micro-awakenings, brief, nearly imperceptible periods of waking that occur naturally during sleep. These micro-awakenings allowed the brain to check and adjust neural connections without fully disturbing sleep. They acted as quality control moments, ensuring that memory and problem-solving pathways were optimized. Technology such as high-resolution brain imaging and neural mapping provided visual confirmation of these processes. Scientists could see networks lighting up in patterns consistent with problem-solving and memory integration. They observed that the subconscious mind actively replayed, reorganized, and refined information in ways that the conscious mind could not achieve on its own. Sleep studies also reinforced the importance of timing. The brain appeared most effective at subconscious problem solving during particular stages of the night, often corresponding to the second half of sleep when REM cycles were longer. This suggested that uninterrupted sleep was crucial. Fragmenting the night reduced the subconscious mind's ability to complete its work. By combining decades of research, scientists concluded that the subconscious mind during sleep was a highly efficient processor. It sorted memories, reinforced important information, simulated scenarios, explored creative possibilities, and even processed emotions, all while the conscious mind rested. Essentially, the brain maintained a hidden problem-solving factory, working tirelessly every night. These findings provided a scientific explanation for an age-old observation. When people sleep on a problem, they often find solutions that eluded them during waking hours. The subconscious mind was not passive. It was an active, dynamic system, using sleep as its workspace to solve problems, prepare the mind for challenges, and enhance both short-term and long-term thinking capabilities. The stage was now set for the final chapter of this history, understanding how individuals could harness this subconscious power intentionally to maximize learning, creativity, and problem-solving in daily life.
As scientists entered the later years of modern sleep research, their focus expanded from short-term problem-solving to long-term brain health. Researchers wanted to understand how sleep affected thinking ability across an entire lifetime. Earlier discoveries had shown that sleep strengthened memories and improved creativity, but now scientists began asking how sleep protected the brain over many years and helped people continue solving problems as they aged. One of the most important findings during this period involved the relationship between sleep and aging. Scientists noticed that younger people usually experienced longer periods of deep sleep, while older adults often had shorter and lighter sleep cycles. This change sometimes led to slower memory recall and reduced mental clarity. However, researchers also found that individuals who maintained consistent sleep habits throughout life showed better cognitive performance in later years. Studies revealed that sleep played a major role in protecting memory over time. During deep sleep, the brain transferred information from temporary storage areas into more stable long-term memory regions. This process allowed people to retain knowledge learned over decades. Without enough sleep, memories became less organized and harder to retrieve. Researchers also discovered that sleep supported flexible thinking, which is the ability to adjust ideas and solve new types of problems. People who slept regularly showed stronger reasoning skills and were better at adapting to unfamiliar situations. Their subconscious minds continued to reorganize information each night, keeping mental pathways active and efficient. Another major discovery involved the connection between sleep and attention. Scientists found that individuals who slept well could focus longer and make fewer mistakes during difficult tasks. This was especially important in professions that required careful decision-making, such as engineering, medicine, and transportation. Clear attention allowed the subconscious mind to work effectively, ensuring that important details were not missed. Scientists studying long-term learning noticed that sleep supported the accumulation of knowledge over years. Instead of forgetting older memories, the brain strengthened them through repeated processing during sleep cycles. This meant that experience gained over time became easier to use in solving new challenges. Another interesting finding involved problem-solving speed. People who maintained healthy sleep patterns often reached solutions more quickly than those who slept poorly. Their brains processed information more efficiently, allowing them to compare ideas and recognize patterns with less effort. This improvement was not sudden, but developed gradually through consistent sleep habits. Researchers also explored the effects of irregular sleep patterns, such as frequently changing bedtime schedules. They found that irregular timing disrupted the brain's internal rhythms, reducing the effectiveness of overnight processing. Over long periods, this disruption weakened memory organization and slowed thinking speed. By this stage of research, scientists understood that sleep did far more than solve immediate problems. It preserved the brain's ability to solve problems throughout life. Every night of healthy sleep contributed to stronger memory networks, clearer thinking, and improved adaptability. These discoveries reinforced an important message. The subconscious mind depended on regular, healthy sleep to remain effective. Without it, the brain struggled to organize information and maintain long-term mental strength. As researchers continued their work, they began exploring one final major question. If sleep supported both short-term insight and long-term brain health, how did all these processes combine into a single system that allowed the subconscious mind to solve problems so effectively? Answering this question would bring together decades of discoveries, leading scientists toward a complete understanding of why sleeping on a problem often produced answers that seemed to appear from nowhere.
As sleep science moved deeper into modern research, scientists began focusing on the smallest building blocks of the brain. Instead of only studying large brain regions, they started examining individual brain cells and the tiny connections between them. These connections, known as synapses, became the center of attention because they were responsible for carrying signals between neurons. Understanding how synapses change during sleep became one of the biggest breakthroughs in explaining how the subconscious solved problems. Researchers discovered that learning something new during the day created stronger connections between certain neurons. When a person studied, practiced a skill, or faced a challenge, the brain formed fresh pathways linking different pieces of information. However, these connections were not fully stable at first. They were fragile and needed reinforcement to last. Sleep turned out to be the time when this reinforcement happened. During deep sleep, scientists observed that some neural connections became stronger, while others weakened. This process allowed the brain to keep important information and remove unnecessary details. It worked like a careful sorting system, making thinking more efficient. Another remarkable discovery involved a process often described as brain cleaning. During waking hours, brain cells produced waste products as they worked. Over time, these waste materials built up between cells, making communication less efficient. During sleep, however, special fluid movements increased between brain cells, washing away accumulated waste. This cleaning helped maintain clear communication pathways, allowing the subconscious mind to function smoothly. This discovery changed how scientists viewed sleep. It was not just about thinking and memory, it was also about maintaining the brain's physical condition. Without proper cleaning during sleep, the brain became slower and less accurate. Over time, this buildup could interfere with memory and concentration. Researchers also discovered that the brain adjusted its overall connection strength during sleep. During the day, learning created many new connections, which could overload the system if left unchanged. During sleep, the brain reduced the strength of weaker connections while preserving stronger ones. This process made important memories stand out while less useful information faded. Scientists studying problem solving found that this connection adjustment helped reveal patterns hidden within information. When unnecessary connections were reduced, the remaining ones became clearer. This made it easier for the subconscious mind to recognize relationships between ideas. That clarity often appeared as sudden insight after waking. Another fascinating area of research involved sleep spindles, short bursts of brain activity observed during certain sleep stages. These bursts were linked to memory strengthening. People with more frequent sleep spindles showed better learning ability and stronger recall. Researchers believed these bursts helped move information from short-term storage into long-term memory. Dreams also became part of this deeper understanding. Scientists observed that dream activity often occurred when brain regions responsible for memory and imagination communicated rapidly. During dreams, the subconscious mind combined stored information in new ways. These combinations sometimes revealed unexpected connections that solved problems. Language learning provided strong evidence of these processes. Participants who practiced new words showed increased brain activity during sleep related to those same words. By morning, recall improved significantly. This showed that sleep did not just protect memory, it actively strengthened it. Studies also revealed how emotional experiences were handled during sleep. Strong emotions created powerful neural connections during waking hours. During sleep, the brain reorganized these connections, helping reduce emotional intensity while preserving useful memory details. This process explained why difficult situations often felt less overwhelming after rest. Researchers began to recognize that the subconscious mind functioned like a silent engineer, constantly adjusting the structure of memory networks. While the body rested, billions of neurons communicated in patterns that shaped thinking ability. Each night became an opportunity to rebuild and optimize the brain's internal systems. Scientists also studied the effects of chronic sleep loss. When people missed sleep repeatedly, neural connections became less organized, memory became weaker, attention decreased, and problem-solving ability declined. This confirmed that regular sleep was essential for maintaining clear and flexible thinking. By this stage, the scientific picture of sleep had become incredibly detailed. The subconscious mind was no longer seen as mysterious or magical. Instead, it was understood as a powerful network of neurons working continuously even when consciousness faded. These discoveries led scientists towards another major question. If sleep strengthened neural connections and cleared waste, could improving sleep quality protect the brain over long periods? Could better sleep habits help maintain sharp thinking throughout life? The search for answers to these questions would lead researchers into the study of long-term brain health, aging, and the role of sleep in protecting memory across decades of human life.
As scientists continued exploring the power of the subconscious mind during sleep, they became increasingly interested in whether people could intentionally guide their thinking while asleep. Earlier research had shown that the brain naturally processed memories and problems overnight, but new experiments aimed to test whether this process could be influenced in controlled ways. One of the most important discoveries during this period involved targeted memory activation. Researchers found that certain sounds, smells, or repeated signals associated with learning could be gently reintroduced during sleep. When these cues were presented at specific moments, the brain responded by strengthening related memories. This suggested that the subconscious mind could be nudged toward reviewing particular information. For example, volunteers were asked to learn pairs of words while listening to a specific sound. Later, while the volunteers slept, scientists quietly played the same sound during deep sleep stages. When tested the next day, participants remembered more word pairs than those who did not hear the sound. This result showed that the sleeping brain could be guided without waking the person. Another fascinating discovery involved the idea of problem incubation with intention. Scientists instructed participants to think about a difficult problem before sleeping, focusing carefully on the details. Many participants reported dreams related to the problem, and some woke up with solutions that had not been obvious before. This demonstrated that the subconscious mind often used the final thoughts before sleep as starting material for overnight processing. Dream research during this time revealed that not all dreams were random images. Many dreams reflected unfinished tasks, worries, or creative challenges from waking life. Scientists describe this as the brain attempting to simulate possibilities in a safe environment. During dreams, the subconscious mind could test ideas without real-world risks. Another area of study focused on lucid dreaming, a state in which a person becomes aware that they are dreaming while still asleep. Some trained individuals learn to control elements of their dreams. Researchers found that lucid dreamers could intentionally practice tasks, rehearse movements, or explore solutions to problems while dreaming. Although this ability required training, it showed that conscious awareness could sometimes interact with subconscious processes. Sleep researchers also began examining the relationship between technology and sleep behavior. Devices that tracked sleep patterns became widely available, allowing individuals to measure sleep length, movement, and cycles. These tools helped people understand their personal sleep habits and identify problems such as irregular schedules or frequent awakenings. Another discovery involved the timing of learning. Scientists found that studying difficult material shortly before sleep increased the chance that the subconscious mind would process it overnight. This effect was especially strong when the learning involved understanding patterns rather than memorizing simple facts. Studies also revealed that creative professions benefited greatly from sleep-guided thinking. Designers, engineers, writers, and musicians often reported sudden insights after resting. When researchers examined their habits, they found that many creative individuals maintained regular sleep schedules and allowed time for rest between intense work sessions. The importance of relaxation before sleep also became clear. Stressful or distracting activities just before bedtime interfered with the brain's ability to enter deep sleep stages. However, calm routines, such as reading, gentle thinking, or reviewing ideas quietly, supported better subconscious processing. Scientists studying the aging brain discovered that sleep patterns changed over time. Older adults sometimes experienced shorter deep sleep periods, which could affect memory strength. Researchers began exploring methods to maintain healthy sleep habits across different age groups, recognizing that subconscious problem-solving remained valuable throughout life. Another breakthrough came from studying groups working in high-pressure environments. Emergency responders, medical workers, and engineers operating complex systems relied heavily on clear thinking.
Researchers found that structured sleep schedules improved decision-making accuracy and reduced errors. This confirmed that subconscious processing during sleep supported critical thinking in real-world situations. By this stage of research, scientists clearly understood that sleep was not simply rest. It was an organized system where the subconscious mind sorted memories, strengthened learning, and explored possible solutions to challenges. The idea that humans could influence this process through habits, focus, and routine opened exciting possibilities. People were no longer passive participants in sleep. Instead, they could actively prepare their minds for overnight problem-solving. As research moved forward, attention began shifting toward the biological details behind these processes. Scientists wanted to understand how individual brain cells communicated during sleep and how chemical signals supported subconscious thinking. These microscopic discoveries would reveal an even deeper layer of understanding, showing that the true power of the sleeping mind existed not just in dreams, but in the tiny connections between billions of brain cells working together in silence.
Scientists also noticed that emotional memories received special attention during sleep. Experiences connected to strong feelings were processed more deeply than neutral events. This explained why emotional problems sometimes felt clearer after rest. The subconscious mind sorted emotional details, reducing confusion and making decisions easier. Studies of children provided further evidence of the subconscious mind's power during sleep. Young learners required more sleep than adults, and their brains showed intense activity during deep sleep stages. This activity supported rapid learning and memory formation, helping children absorb new knowledge quickly. Another discovery involved language learning. Participants who practiced new vocabulary before sleeping remembered more words the next day. Some studies showed that hearing familiar sounds during sleep reinforced memory connections. This suggested that the subconscious mind remained sensitive to certain forms of information even while resting. Researchers also began examining how stress influenced sleep-based problem-solving. High stress levels reduced sleep quality and interfered with memory processing. When individuals managed stress effectively, their sleep became deeper and more stable. This improved the brain's ability to organize thoughts and generate solutions. By this stage, scientists had gathered strong evidence that the subconscious mind functioned like a hidden problem-solving engine. During sleep, it reviewed information from the day, compared possibilities, and built connections that led to understanding. While the conscious mind rested, the subconscious quietly worked through challenges. These discoveries reinforced an important idea that had existed for centuries. Solutions often appear after rest because the brain never truly stops thinking. Instead, it shifts into a different mode that allows flexible, creative, and efficient processing. As researchers continued their work, attention began shifting toward another major question. If the subconscious mind could naturally solve problems during sleep, could humans deliberately guide this process? Could specific techniques help direct dreams or focus subconscious thinking on particular challenges? The search for answers to these questions would lead scientists into new territory, exploring how intentional thinking, memory cues, and controlled sleep environments might unlock even greater problem-solving power within the sleeping mind. As scientists continued exploring sleep in the early 21st century, they became interested not only in what happened during sleep, but also in how daily habits influence the subconscious mind's ability to solve problems. Researchers realized that the quality of sleep mattered just as much as the quantity. Simply staying in bed for many hours did not guarantee effective subconscious processing. The brain needed structured, uninterrupted cycles to perform its hidden work. One of the major discoveries during this period involved the importance of sleep timing. Scientists found that going to bed at consistent times helped regulate the body's internal clock. This internal timing system controlled when the brain entered deep sleep and REM sleep. When schedules changed frequently, sleep cycles became irregular, and the brain had less opportunity to process information efficiently. Experiments showed that people with regular sleep routines solved puzzles more successfully than those with unpredictable schedules. Volunteers who slept and woke at the same time each day displayed stronger memory recall and clearer thinking. Their subconscious systems appeared to function more smoothly because the brain could predict when rest would occur. Another major discovery focused on pre-sleep thinking. Researchers observed that people who reviewed problems shortly before sleep were more likely to find solutions the next morning. This effect suggested that the subconscious mind used the most recent information as material for overnight processing. By focusing attention on a challenge before sleeping, individuals increased the chance that the brain would continue working on it during the night. Scientists also explored how different environments affected sleep quality. They discovered that quiet, dark spaces improve deep sleep stages. Bright lights, noise, and electronic screens reduced the depth of sleep and interrupted cycles. When deep sleep was shortened, memory strengthening became less effective. This finding explained why modern lifestyles, filled with artificial light and constant activity, sometimes weakened the benefits of sleep. Nutrition became another area of study. Researchers found that heavy meals just before bedtime could disrupt sleep patterns, while balanced meals earlier in the evening supported stable rest. Hydration also played a role, as dehydration sometimes caused discomfort that interrupted sleep cycles. Meanwhile, scientists investigated the relationship between sleep and long-term learning. Students preparing for difficult exams showed better performance when study sessions were separated by sleep periods. Instead of cramming for long hours, dividing learning across several days with sleep in between led to stronger memory retention. This method became known as spaced learning. Technological advancements allowed scientists to monitor brain activity more precisely than ever before. They could track how specific brain regions communicated during sleep. Studies showed that the hippocampus, a region associated with memory storage, became highly active during deep sleep. This region appeared to send information to other parts of the brain, strengthening connections and organizing memories into structured patterns. Scientists also discovered that creativity improved when individuals allowed time for sleep after encountering complex problems. In creative fields such as music composition, engineering, and design, people who paused and slept often produced more original solutions. Their subconscious minds explored ideas in ways that conscious thinking alone could not achieve. Another area of research focused on dreams themselves. Scientists noticed that dreams often contain symbolic representations of real-life problems. A person worried about deadlines might dream of racing against time, while someone solving a technical challenge might dream of assembling objects or navigating pathways. These dream images showed that the brain was actively experimenting with possible solutions. Physical exercise also became linked to sleep quality. Studies revealed that individuals who engaged in moderate physical activity during the day entered deeper sleep stages at night. Deeper sleep provided more time for memory processing and emotional balancing. However, intense activity immediately before bedtime sometimes delayed sleep onset, showing that timing remained important. Researchers began studying naps as well. Short daytime naps were found to boost alertness and improve learning efficiency. Even brief rest periods allowed the subconscious mind to begin processing recent experiences. This discovery led to the idea that multiple sleep periods throughout the day could enhance productivity when managed carefully. The growing body of research demonstrated that sleep was not just a natural process, but a skill that could be improved through habits and routines. The subconscious mind worked best when given the right conditions, regular schedules, proper environments, and focused preparation before sleep. By this stage in history, scientists had moved beyond simply understanding sleep cycles. They were now studying how individuals could use sleep as a tool for thinking and problem solving. The idea that the subconscious solved problems overnight became practical knowledge rather than abstract theory. As research continued, attention shifted toward another important question. If sleep strengthened memory and creativity, could technology be used to guide or enhance subconscious processing? Scientists began exploring ways to influence dreams, improve learning during sleep, and measure subconscious activity more precisely than ever before. These new experiments would lead to surprising discoveries, revealing that the future of sleep science might include methods that previous generations could hardly imagine.
As the late 20th century turned into the early 21st century, sleep science entered an age of advanced technology. Researchers now had tools that allowed them to see inside the brain without surgery. Machines that measured brain activity in real time revealed that sleep was far more organized and purposeful than anyone had imagined before. The idea that the subconscious solved problems during sleep was no longer just supported by observation. Scientists could now watch the process unfold. One of the most important discoveries during this period involved memory consolidation. Researchers found that when people learned new information during the day, their brains stored those memories temporarily. During sleep, especially deep sleep, the brain moved those memories into more stable storage. This process strengthened learning and made information easier to recall later. Experiments showed that students who studied new material and then slept performed better on tests than those who stayed awake for the same amount of time. Even short naps improved memory. This finding surprised many people because it showed that sleep did not only help after long nights. Even brief rest periods allowed the subconscious mind to review and strengthen memories. Scientists also discovered that the brain replayed daily experiences during sleep. In laboratory studies, animals trained to move through mazes showed specific patterns of brain activity while learning. When the animals later slept, researchers observed the same patterns repeating in their brains, almost as if the maze was being practiced again in memory. This replay suggested that the subconscious mind rehearsed experiences, improving performance without physical effort. Another major discovery involved emotional regulation. Researchers found that sleep helped reduce the emotional intensity of difficult experiences. When people faced stressful events during the day, sleep allowed the brain to process those emotions safely. By morning, many people felt calmer and more capable of handling the situation. This emotional sorting helped explain why problems sometimes seemed less overwhelming after a night of rest. Dream research also expanded significantly during this era. Scientists noticed that dreams often combined unrelated memories into new patterns. For example, a person might dream about a conversation mixed with an old memory from childhood. These unusual combinations allowed the subconscious mind to form connections that might not occur during normal waking thought. Creativity studies revealed another surprising pattern. Participants given complex puzzles showed better performance after sleeping, especially when the solution required seeing patterns in new ways. Instead of focusing narrowly, the subconscious mind worked broadly, exploring many possible connections at once. This wide search made it easier to discover creative solutions. Researchers also identified differences between types of sleep. Deep sleep, sometimes called slow-wave sleep, appeared to focus on strengthening facts and knowledge. REM sleep, the stage linked to vivid dreams, seemed to support creativity and emotional processing. Together, these stages created a balanced system that handled both logical and imaginative thinking. Technology allowed scientists to measure chemical changes in the brain during sleep. They discovered that certain chemicals increased during rest, helping strengthen neural connections. Other chemicals decreased, allowing the brain to clear out unnecessary signals. This cleaning process helped prevent mental overload and improved clarity the next day. Another fascinating discovery involved forgetting. While memory strengthening was important, scientists learned that the brain also removed unimportant details during sleep. This process prevented the mind from becoming crowded with useless information. By keeping essential memories and removing minor ones, the subconscious created space for clearer thinking. Studies on learning languages and physical skills provided additional evidence. People practicing new words or movements improved more after sleeping than after continuous practice without rest. Musicians learning complex pieces showed smoother performance after a full night of sleep. Athletes mastered difficult routines more quickly when sleep followed training. Researchers also found that lack of sleep had strong negative effects. Sleep-deprived individuals showed slower reaction times, reduced attention, and weaker problem-solving ability. In extreme cases, decision-making became unreliable. These findings confirmed that sleep was not optional for clear thinking, it was necessary. By the early 21st century, scientists understood that the subconscious mind was not mysterious magic. It was a powerful system created by the brain's structure and activity. During sleep, memories were sorted, connections were strengthened, emotions were balanced, and creative ideas were formed. These discoveries helped explain why people often woke up with solutions that had seemed impossible the night before. The subconscious mind had been working quietly all night, reorganizing information and searching for patterns. As research continued, scientists became curious about one of the biggest mysteries still remaining. If the subconscious could solve problems during sleep, could humans learn to use sleep more effectively? Could certain habits improve the brain's ability to find answers overnight? These questions would lead to new experiments in the coming years, exploring how timing, routine, and sleep quality influenced the power of the sleeping mind.
The 20th century marked one of the most important turning points in the history of sleep science. For thousands of years, people guessed what happened inside the brain during sleep. But now, technology finally allowed scientists to observe it directly. This era transformed sleep from a mysterious state into something measurable and understandable.
One of the earliest breakthroughs came in the early 1900s when researchers began recording electrical activity from the human brain. They discovered that the brain produced tiny electrical signals, even during sleep. This finding shocked many scientists who had believed the brain simply rested at night. Instead, the brain remained active, sending signals that changed throughout different stages of sleep. In the 1920s, a major discovery introduced a new way to study sleep scientifically. Scientists developed devices capable of recording brain waves, creating patterns that could be drawn on paper. These recordings showed that sleep was not a single state, but a series of stages, each with unique patterns of brain activity. Some stages showed slow, deep waves, while others showed fast, active patterns. This discovery revealed that the brain moved through cycles during sleep. At certain times, it entered deep, slow-wave sleep, where the body rested and recovered physically. At other times, the brain became more active, producing patterns similar to waking thought. These active periods would later be connected to dreaming. In the 1950s, researchers made another groundbreaking discovery: rapid eye movement sleep, often called REM sleep. During this stage, a sleeping person's eyes moved quickly beneath closed eyelids. Brain activity during REM sleep looked surprisingly similar to waking patterns. This finding suggested that the brain was highly active even though the body remained still. Scientists studying REM sleep noticed that people awakened during this stage often reported vivid dreams. These dreams were not random nonsense, as earlier generations sometimes believed. Instead, they often included recent experiences, emotional memories, and unfinished thoughts. This discovery strengthened the idea that the subconscious mind worked actively during sleep. Researchers also discovered that sleep cycles repeated throughout the night. A person did not simply enter deep sleep once and stay there. Instead, the brain moved through stages again and again, typically every 90 minutes. Each cycle included periods of deep sleep and REM sleep, both of which played different roles in memory and problem solving. Experiments during this time showed how sleep influenced learning. Volunteers were asked to practice tasks, such as memorizing numbers or solving puzzles. When they slept afterward, their performance improved the next day, even without additional practice. However, when sleep was interrupted, improvement slowed or disappeared. This finding suggested that the brain strengthened learning during sleep. Another important discovery involved emotional memory. Scientists noticed that emotionally important experiences were often remembered more clearly after sleep. Events connected to strong feelings seemed to receive special attention during the night. This suggested that the subconscious mind prioritized meaningful information while organizing memories. Researchers also explored the relationship between sleep and skill learning. Musicians, athletes, and typists showed improved performance after sleeping. Their movements became smoother and more precise. This suggested that sleep strengthened physical memory as well as mental knowledge. By the late 20th century, scientists had gathered strong evidence that sleep played an active role in solving problems. The subconscious mind worked quietly during sleep cycles, especially during REM stages, reviewing experiences and testing possible solutions. The idea that sleeping on a problem helped find answers was no longer just folklore. It had become a scientifically supported principle. Brainwave recordings showed patterns that matched memory processing, emotional sorting, and creative thinking. As the century came to an end, new tools such as advanced imaging technologies began to reveal even more details about brain activity during sleep. Scientists were now preparing to explore deeper questions. How exactly did the subconscious mind combine memories? Why did dreams sometimes produce creative solutions? And what happened inside the brain when a problem was finally solved overnight? These questions would drive the next generation of sleep research, leading to discoveries that would explain in even greater detail how the sleeping brain became one of the most powerful problem-solving systems in human history. During the 19th century, science entered a new era of discovery that transformed how people understood the human brain. This period saw the rise of psychology as a formal field of study, along with new experiments focused on memory, thinking, and sleep. For the first time, researchers began trying to measure mental processes instead of simply describing them. The idea that hidden mental activity continued during sleep became more than a theory. It began to look like a scientific possibility. One of the most important developments of this century was the growing interest in memory. Scientists observed that memory did not form instantly. Instead, it seemed to strengthen over time. Students who studied material and then slept remembered more than those who stayed awake for long hours. This pattern appeared so often that researchers began designing experiments to test it carefully. Volunteers were asked to memorize lists of words, numbers, or symbols, and their memory was tested after periods of sleep and wakefulness. Again and again, sleep improved recall. At the same time, scientists studying the brain discovered that it was not a single uniform structure. Instead, it contained specialized areas responsible for different tasks. Some regions controlled movement, others processed sound or vision, and still others were linked to memory and emotion. Although the tools of the time were still limited, these discoveries suggested that sleep might involve different parts of the brain working in coordinated ways. This century also marked the beginning of serious research into dreams. Scholars collected dream reports from volunteers and analyzed their content. They noticed that dreams often included fragments of recent experiences, worries, or unfinished problems. This observation supported the idea that the brain continued reviewing daily events during sleep. A famous example from this period involved creative problem solving. Inventors and mathematicians sometimes reported that their solutions appeared suddenly after sleep. These stories fascinated researchers because they showed that solutions could form without conscious effort. A person might struggle with a problem all day, give up, go to sleep, and wake up with a clear answer. This pattern suggested that thinking continued beneath awareness. Another key discovery of the 19th century involved reaction time and mental fatigue. Scientists measured how quickly people responded to signals after different amounts of sleep. Participants who slept well reacted faster and made fewer mistakes. Those who stayed awake too long showed slower thinking and reduced attention. These findings strengthened the idea that sleep restored mental performance. Doctors also noticed the connection between sleep and health. Patients suffering from confusion or memory loss often had poor sleep habits. When their sleep improved, their thinking became clearer. This observation suggested that sleep was not just helpful, but necessary for maintaining brain function. By the late 19th century, scientists began discussing the concept of unconscious thinking more openly. They believed that not all mental activity was visible to awareness. Some processes happened automatically, outside conscious control. These hidden processes could influence decisions, creativity, and memory formation. At the same time, industrialization changed daily life. Factories operated long hours, and workers often sacrificed sleep to meet demands. Researchers studying factory accidents noticed a pattern. Many mistakes occurred during late-night shifts when workers were tired. This led to early safety recommendations, encouraging rest breaks and proper sleep schedules. Education systems also adopted new ideas about sleep. Teachers began advising students to avoid late-night studying without rest. Instead, they recommended reviewing material and then sleeping before exams. This approach was based on repeated observations that sleep strengthened memory and understanding. Another important development was the study of habit formation. Scientists noticed that people learned skills more effectively when sleep followed practice. Musicians improved faster when they rested after rehearsals. Athletes performed better when they slept after training sessions. These findings suggested that sleep helped store newly learned skills. Toward the end of the century, curiosity about the subconscious mind grew stronger. Scholars began to use this term to describe mental processes operating outside awareness. They proposed that the subconscious continued working during sleep, organizing information and searching for patterns. This idea helped explain why solutions sometimes appeared suddenly after rest. The conscious mind might stop working on a problem, but the subconscious mind continued quietly. While the body rested, hidden mental activity reorganized memories, compared possibilities, and formed connections. By the close of the 19th century, the foundation of modern sleep and subconscious research was firmly in place. Scientists had gathered strong evidence showing that sleep improved memory, sharpened thinking, and supported creativity. They had also begun to understand that unseen mental processes played a powerful role in solving problems. These discoveries prepared the world for the next great breakthrough. In the 20th century, new technologies would allow scientists to observe brain activity during sleep itself. For the first time, the hidden work of the sleeping mind would become visible, revealing how the subconscious solved problems in ways earlier generations could only imagine.
By the 17th and 18th centuries, the world was changing rapidly. New tools, telescopes, microscopes, and mechanical devices were helping scholars look deeper into nature than ever before. During this period, curiosity about the human brain began to grow stronger. Scientists and thinkers started to question the old belief that sleep was simply a time when the mind shut down. Instead, they began to suspect that sleep might be an active process hidden beneath stillness. Early scientists studying human behavior noticed something interesting about students and apprentices. When young learners studied information late into the night but stayed awake afterward, they often forgot what they learned. However, those who studied and then slept were more likely to remember the material the next day. This observation appeared repeatedly in schools, workshops, and training halls. Teachers began to encourage rest not just for health, but for learning. At the same time, philosophers started writing about the idea that the mind had layers. They suggested that not all thinking happened consciously. Some thoughts, memories, and experiences seemed to stay hidden beneath awareness.
These hidden processes were believed to influence dreams, sudden ideas, and creative insights. Although the word subconscious had not yet become common, the concept was slowly forming. Inventors and scientists of this era recorded unusual experiences related to sleep. There were stories of thinkers who struggled with technical problems for days, only to wake up with a solution after dreaming. These moments fascinated scholars because they showed that the brain might continue working on problems even when a person was asleep. As the 18th century progressed, scientific methods became more organized. Experiments began to replace guesswork. Researchers carefully recorded sleep habits, noting how long people slept and how they behaved afterward. They found that individuals who slept less made more mistakes in calculations and had slower reactions. Workers in factories who stayed awake too long became careless, while those who slept well were more accurate and efficient. Another important discovery during this period was the link between sleep and emotional balance. Physicians noticed that patients who slept poorly often felt anxious, confused, or overwhelmed. When sleep improved, their thinking became clearer and calmer. This suggested that sleep was connected not only to memory, but also to emotional stability. Meanwhile, interest in dreams continued to grow. Writers and philosophers described dreams as strange stories created by the mind. Some believed dreams were random, while others thought they were meaningful reflections of daily experiences. Even without advanced technology, observers noticed that dreams often included fragments of recent problems, conversations, or worries. One major turning point came when scientists began studying the brain as a physical organ rather than a mysterious source of invisible forces. Early anatomical studies revealed that the brain contained complex networks and regions that appeared specialized. Although researchers could not yet see how these parts worked during sleep, they began to understand that thinking depended on physical structures inside the head. During this time, sleep also became linked to creativity. Artists, composers, and inventors frequently reported waking up with new ideas. Painters described seeing colors and patterns in dreams that later appeared in their artwork. Writers claimed that story ideas formed during sleep. These repeated experiences strengthened the belief that sleep allowed the mind to reorganize information in new and creative ways. Another observation involved problem solving in daily life. Merchants dealing with complicated trade decisions sometimes delayed their choices until the next morning. They found that resting overnight helped them evaluate options more clearly. This practical habit spread through communities, reinforcing the idea that sleep improved judgment. By the end of the 18th century, the foundation of modern sleep science had grown stronger. Scholars no longer viewed sleep as wasted time or complete inactivity. Instead, they began to see it as a mysterious but essential function that supported memory, reasoning, creativity, and emotional balance. The idea that hidden mental processes continued during sleep became more widely accepted. People began to suspect that the brain did not stop working at night. Instead, it shifted into a different mode, quietly processing information collected during the day. This growing belief would soon lead to major breakthroughs. In the centuries ahead, new technologies would allow scientists to measure brain activity directly. What had once been guesses and stories would turn into measurable evidence. And with that evidence, humanity would move closer to understanding the true power of the sleeping mind and how the subconscious quietly solved problems in the dark.